I used to think I was just an extra in my own family. Not because anyone said it out loud, but because of their silence. Every holiday felt like a performance I was never allowed to be part of. All the lights were on my younger sister Madison while I stayed behind the curtain, holding the props. Once, I tried to step forward, and Mom said only one thing. "Don't ruin your sister's moment." I'm Alice, the eldest daughter of a middle-class family in Missouri. Or more accurately, the forgotten one. My parents always claimed they loved us both equally, but anyone who stepped into that house would see the truth was far from that. Madison was the little princess, Mom's favorite nickname, even when she was already 16. That Christmas, she got a brand new iPad, complete with a custom case and a handwritten card from our parents. To the most deserving girl in the world. And me? I got an oversized hoodie, 70% off from Target, in a dull winter gray, still marked final clearance. I was 14 and already knew the difference between love and pity. I didn't dare ask why. Because every time I did, the answers were always the same. You're older, you should know to give in. You don't need things like that. Mom's really trying, Alice. When I turned 16, my parents threw Madison a huge birthday party. Poolside bash, 2-tiered cake, even a hired DJ. I was assigned to take photos. I spent the whole night behind the camera, watching her toss her hair in the lights, smiling brightly among her friends. And me? No photos, no cake. No one asked if I was having a good time. For my birthday a month later, Mom made a simple dinner at home, saying it was budget-friendly and cozy. A tiny store-bought cake. Just Mom, Dad, and Madison. Madison spent the evening scrolling on her phone. Dad ate, then left early to watch sports. Mom looked at me, smiled, and said, "This is good enough, right, sweetheart?" I nodded because I didn't know how to do anything else but accept the absence, not of money, but of care. When college came, the gap wasn't just a shadow anymore, it was clear as a bank statement. Madison was accepted into a private school in California. My parents paid for everything: tuition, housing, even a school tour trip worth nearly $8,000, 0 cents. Me? I sat at the kitchen table alone, filling out student loan applications. Dad said just one line. "You're going to school nearby, it won't cost much." I worked 3 jobs at once: part-time cashier at a bookstore, barista at a cafe, and teaching assistant. Just to afford a cramped room off campus. I'd come home with swollen feet and didn't dare complain. I knew the only thing I'd get from Mom was a cold stare and that same old phrase. "You, demanding things now?" When Madison graduated, my parents rented out a fancy banquet hall, made a tribute video, and spent nearly $20,000, 0 cents, celebrating the family's angel. Me? I got dinner at a local Italian place. Mom handed me a white envelope with a forced smile. "We don't have much, but I think you'll like this." I opened it. A $2, 0 cents lottery ticket. No card. No message. "Maybe it's a winner," Dad chuckled. I laughed too, not because it was funny, but because I was so empty inside. Laughter was the only thing filling the silence. That night, I sat alone in my rented room, dim yellow light casting over the unscratched ticket. I set it on the table like a joke, a symbol of my entire childhood. One shot at luck. Because no one ever thought I deserved more. I didn't scratch it that night. Didn't tuck it in my wallet or pin it to the mirror for hope. I just left it beneath an old book, somewhere between student paperwork and overdue bills. As if not seeing it would help me forget all the times I was made invisible. After graduation, I moved to Springfield, a small city over 3 hours away from home. Far enough to avoid surprise visits, but not far enough for them to say I'd cut ties. I rented a run-down 3rd-floor apartment, no elevator, leaking ceiling, and a gas leak in the kitchen that made cooking feel like a gamble with my life. No one came house hunting with me. No one helped me move. No hugs from Mom, no good luck from Dad. Just a short text from Madison. "Congrats, sis. Don't forget to send pics." I didn't reply. I dropped my single suitcase on the floor, opened the window for air, and told myself, from now on, everything's on me. I worked 2 jobs to survive: daytime communications assistant for a small local ad agency, and nighttime server at a dive bar, where the lights were dimmer than the staff and the music drowned out the sighs of tired regulars. Every night I got home around 2 a.m., feet aching, hands smelling like stale beer and sweat. No one knew, no one asked. Each time Madison posted vacation photos from Miami or flaunted her new designer bag, Mom would share the post with a proud caption, "My daughter deserves the best." I blocked her on Facebook. Not out of anger, but exhaustion. I started avoiding every family dinner invite where I'd just sit through long talks about Madison's new investment plans, or amazing job at that cosmetics firm Mom's friend recommended. I faded, like a ghost in my own story. But this time, I didn't feel sad. I was learning to exist, even without anyone beside me. Then one night, after a late shift, I was having drinks with some new friends at a bar near my apartment. Rick, co-worker at the ad agency, frowned as I paid with spare change. "Alice, you really work both jobs?" "Yeah, rent won't pay itself." He sighed, shook his head. "What about your family? They don't help?" I gave a tired smile. "They help Madison. I got a lottery ticket." Rick went quiet, eyes fixed on me. Then Tina, my roommate, jumped in. "You mean, your sister got a scholarship?" I shook my head. "No, my parents paid Madison's tuition. All of it." "And you?" "I have over $40,000 0 cents in student debt." The table went silent, heavy like lead. Someone muttered, "God, that's not favoritism, that's straight-up cruelty." I didn't know how to respond. I just sat there, staring at my warm beer. That sentence pierced me like a knife. Not because it was wrong, but because it was so true it stole my breath. I'd been abandoned for so long, I didn't even realize I was still bleeding. I used to think sacrifice was noble, that being the big sister meant giving everything up. But now, hearing someone say, "You deserve better," I saw my childhood for what it really was. A series of forced silences, wrapped in cheap moral lessons. That night, I went home and opened my old drawer. The lottery ticket was still there. A tiny slip of paper with its silver coat untouched. I looked at it like I was looking at myself, left on the sidelines, waiting for a miracle that would never come. I didn't cry. I just sighed. Then I pulled out a blank sheet of paper and wrote 3 lines. "I'm no longer Madison's sister. I'm Alice. And I will succeed." 3 months after the night I wrote those 3 lines of commitment on a blank sheet of paper, life hadn't improved much. I was still walking to work at 6 in the morning, still wearing a grease-stained apron after 7 at night, and still quietly living in a rundown apartment where even rats avoided the collapsed floorboards. But at least, I had stopped making excuses for my family's indifference. It was a Saturday morning. I was cleaning the kitchen after nearly a week of neglect. Beneath a pile of flyers, can lids, and scattered bills was the random junk drawer. A catch-all for everything nameless: broken cables, dead batteries, dried-out pens, a frayed headband, and the lottery ticket. I picked it up. The edges were crumpled, the silver scratch-off coating still intact. The only thing I had received from my parents after graduation. A gift no one believed had value, not even me. I laughed. "To hell with it, let's give it one last try," I muttered. I grabbed my phone and opened the Missouri State Lottery website. On the back of the ticket was the number sequence: 04, -11, -26, -39, -44, 52. I entered each number, my hands trembling not from nerves but from lack of sleep. Clicked check result. The screen spun for less than 3 seconds. "Congratulations, jackpot winner, $137 million, 0 cents." I stood frozen. No blinking, no breathing. I looked at the screen, then the ticket, then the screen again, over and over like a sleepwalker. I slapped my own cheek lightly, It didn't hurt. My eyes stayed open. It was real. $137 million. A $2 ticket. A just for fun moment. A joke from my family that now broke everything wide open. I vomited into the sink. What followed was a series of bizarre actions. I washed my hands, changed shirts, then slid the ticket into my passport sleeve, placed it under my pillow, and stared at it for 4 hours straight without doing anything else. I didn't call my mom. I didn't tell Madison. I didn't post a thing on social media. I called Google. First search: what to do if you win the lottery in Missouri. Then, how to claim winnings without your family finding out. Then, how to avoid going broke after winning the lottery. Every result said the same things. Keep it secret. Find a financial advisor. Create a legal entity. Don't spend anything right away. Trust no one. I started looking up certified financial advisors in Missouri. The standout name was Carol Bryant, a 56-year-old expert with over 20 years of experience, known for being tighter-lipped than a submarine. Her profile photo showed a silver-haired woman wearing tortoiseshell glasses and a forest green blazer. When I looked into her eyes, I felt something I'd never felt with my mother. Safety. I scheduled a meeting with her for the following Tuesday morning under the name Alice R., inquiring about unexpected inheritance. She smiled as I spoke and just nodded. We'll keep everything under the radar, no worries. That first meeting at Carol's office felt like stepping into another world. Cherrywood furnishings, an automatic espresso machine, carpet so thick you couldn't hear footsteps. I felt like an intruder in a rich person's life. Even though, on paper, I'd just become one of them. Carol listened as I told her the whole story. The lottery ticket in the white envelope, the beer I couldn't finish when my friend said this is just unfair. She never interrupted. When I finished, she said one sentence. They underestimated the card they misplayed. And then, over the next 3 weeks, Carol helped me set up a limited liability company to claim the winnings. Open 3 separate bank accounts at 3 different banks, none of which held the full amount. Arrange for legal and tax consultation. Build a conservative investment plan. Real estate, government bonds, and blue-chip stocks. When I officially received the money, after taxes, nearly $89 million, I walked out of the lottery claims office wearing my old hoodie and faded jeans. No press, no cameras. No one knew my real name. And that felt amazing. That night, I sat on the floor of my crumbling apartment, lit only by a desk lamp with a loose wire, holding a can of soda and whispering, "This is the last time you'll live like this." The lottery ticket, once a joke, was now a weapon, not for revenge, but for liberation. No messages for Madison. No phone calls to my mom. I even blocked my dad's number, the same man who told me at 13. Girls don't need to be smart as long as they marry rich. I bought a safe and placed the original ticket inside. Every time I looked at it, I reminded myself of one thing. I wasn't lucky. I was the lesson they never saw coming. The morning I made the final payment on my student loan, $42,570. My hands trembled even as I pressed one simple button. The moment the screen displayed "paid in full," I exhaled like I'd just set down the entire weight of my childhood. 3 hours later I went to the diner, where I'd poured sweat, tears and dignity for the past 2 years, to quit. Linda, the nearly 60-year-old owner with bleached hair and a voice that sounded like it had been sanded by a storm, looked at me suspiciously. "You win the lottery or something?" I smiled faintly. "No, but enough to never put up with this again." I turned in my uniform, handed over my resignation, and tucked a white envelope with $5,000 in cash inside. She opened it, eyes wide. "What the hell is this? Because you once covered my shift when I passed out in the kitchen? And because no one else in my life has ever done anything that kind." I walked out the same back door that had once been my only escape route at night, and for the first time, the Springfield sky looked impossibly blue. I bought a black Tesla Model 3. Sleek, discreet, but still a head-turner if I wanted it to be. I didn't. I drove straight to the dealership, paid by bank transfer, said nothing. No selfies with the keys, no Facebook check-ins, no "Look, Mom, I made it." Because she never really looked at me, anyway. I found the house after 3 weeks of circling the western suburbs, about 2 blocks away from Madison's neighborhood. A 2-story modern home, white with gray trim, lavender flowers in the front yard and a small garden out back where tomatoes were starting to grow. Listing price, $1,350,000. I paid $1,400,000, no haggling. No one knew I was the buyer. Everything was under the name of the LLC I had set up under Carol's guidance. Even the realtor only knew me as the CEO of an advertising company based out of state. I didn't throw a housewarming party. Didn't hang a nameplate. The neighbors only knew me as the quiet girl who took evening walks, always had a spotless car, and gave a hand wave of thanks whenever someone let me pass. And I liked it that way. Every morning I made coffee from the automatic machine I once thought was a luxury, and stood by the large glass window, watching the sunlight spill into the living room. The kitchen was no longer a smoke trap, it became the space of fluffy omelets, crispy pastries, and the soft scent of cinnamon. I still worked, but not because I had to, I chose to. I took on a few freelance media projects, crafting campaigns for small businesses on digital platforms. No pressure, no boss, no deadlines tight enough to steal my sleep. Madison texted twice in 3 months. "Are you still living in that old apartment?" I didn't respond. Mom called once in the middle of the night,